G'day guys, Tim here. It's been recently requested for a tutorial on how to build this Deauther module and run it on the flipper, and we'll also show it in action because that was also requested. This board is the Node MCU board, and I've put it onto a flipper proto shield or proto board that I bought when I backed my Flipper Zero. So we'll start off by going through the build process on this, and then we'll flash it with some firmware, the Deauther V2 firmware, and then we'll run the code on the flipper and demonstrate it actually working on a computer. So this is the Node MCU board, and it's got a 3.3 volt voltage regulator just here. So I can power 5 volts into the V-in port here, and it will power the circuit as it should do with the 3.3 volts that it needs. You can also power this board from our 3.3 volt rail here, and any of these 3 volt lines will power it. Another one here. They will all power quite fine. Our main lines we need to worry about on this board are our RX, TX here, V-in, and any of the grounds. In this case we got a G right next to V-in. And we need on this here, we need 5 volt, we need a ground, we need the UTX, URX. They are also on here on our flipper. TX, RX, 5 volts, and ground. Also this ground works as well. And so does this one. Now on my, well, you would have to check the specs if you've got a different board than the Node MCU, and whether or not it even has a 5 volt voltage regulator. I've got another one coming that doesn't, and it was going to be a good demonstration for how to hook up a 3.3 volt voltage reg on there. You can run these off 3.3 volts anyway, but I would recommend, and a lot of people recommend, going off the 5 volt rail and it having it switched when you go in and out of the app, because the 3.3 can cause some issues. Now, this proto board, if you've used one of these, you have to cut a couple of tracks. You'll have to cut, where is it? Any of these ones up here, you'll have to cut. So the ground, the software clock, I think, no, the software clock doesn't continue. So this ground here, you need to cut. This 3.3 you need to cut. This ground's okay, because I've mounted this ground here, lining up with the ground over here. It saves actually running a wire, and that's it, depending on where you mount it though as well. Now, if I turn this over, you'll see that here we got 5 volt, which goes all the way over to this line here, and that connects to our V-in. And then we've got these 2 wires here, which link up our UTX to our RX, and URX to our TX. Remember that, RX to TX and TX to RX. There's one send, one receive, and otherwise you'll have 2 devices trying to send to each other on the same line, and 2 devices trying to receive to each other on the same device, and it won't work. If it doesn't work straight away, try swapping them around and it should work okay. And that's it. It's fairly straightforward. You can use a piece of proto shield like this one here, but you'll be having to cut the tracks so you don't get a join between here, this side and this side. So pretend this is our ESP board across here. You would have to cut the tracks along there just so you don't get shorted between the 2 sides. You can also get proto shield or proto boards that just have single holes. They work quite well as well. This is actually a Deauther board or a expansion board, allowing you to connect to the back of the flipper like so, and gives me easy access to have my boards on the, if I can even line this up, so I can easily do that. Makes it a bit more discreet, a little bit more. Disconnect that, and that's our board. Fairly straightforward, should be easy enough to do, I hope. The programming side, what we do is we plug this in here, and now we want to select on our flipper, we want to go to, where is it? Did I go straight past it? I did. GPIO, UART bridge, we want to configure it to USB channel 1, and then back. And when we plug our cable in, it's now going to communicate directly with this node board. Currently it's got no power. When you plug the USB cable in, this USB cable here, our node board powers up, and you heard my computer go, oh look, there's a device. To get this into programming mode, we need to hold down the flash button and press reset. Release reset, continue to hold flash, and now it's in flash mode. Okay, we'll go over to the software side. So we've got to download our firmware for our ESP board. Go to this URL here, it's in the notes, ESP8266 Deauther, and this is version 2. And if we go to our releases here, and we'll click on our latest release, scroll down, and if you don't see your version here, you can always compile it from source if you wanted to. But we've got our Node MCU here, or Node MCU version 2 here, where we've actually already downloaded all our stuff. So if I go to here, here's our Node MCU, and we'll go back here. We need to download a tool to install it. So installation guide in our wiki, so I'll click on that, and we're going to use a tool called ESP Tool GUI. It's easy to use, really easy to use. So here, download it. Download the latest version. Yes, it's a bit out of date, but it still works. For Windows or Mac, if you're a Mac user, I've already pre-downloaded those here, so I'm going to load that up. And I'm just going to go browse on that. We'll go up to here, select our Node MCU, and we need to find our COM port. We'll go to Device Manager, Ports, and you can see the STM or ST microelectronics virtual COM port, or STM COM port 14. So COM port 14, keep that baud rate, and you click Upload. And you can see the flippers doing stuff. You can see data being transferred. It doesn't take very long at all. You'll know this works when you're seeing both going up. If you're just seeing the transmit going up but no receive data, then this is probably not in flash mode and you need to restart the process. You have to wait for it to finish, hold down the flash and reset buttons, release, reset, keeping flash down, and then click start again. Still doing its thing. Unfortunately, you can't share the video screen on the computer when you're in the UART mode on the flipper. Done. I'm just going to hit the reset button anyway, just to make sure, and we can close out of this. Done. You can confirm with PuTTY. We'll hit our reset button. Done. That's running our correct code, which is what we want it to do. I'm going to close out of this because now we're going to go back on our flipper, and I'm actually going to load up QFlipper. And we can now see what's going on with our screen. I'm also going to connect to 2.4 gigs Wi-Fi. Come on, connect. Okay, we are connected to our Wi-Fi. I'm going to start a ping google.com. This will be a continuous ping, so we can see what's going on. Now I go to applications. This is running Unleashed firmware. So, and I've put the extra pack of apps on, and you'll see there's this ESP8266 Deauther. We load this up, and now if I go to view log from end, we can see we've got data coming through. Nope, it's still scanning. I'm going to go back. Now, while it's still booting up, if you try to run any of these things, then it will crash the software. Okay, we're going to scan for SSIDs. Stop the scan, and we want to view what SSIDs there are. We found 5 access points, 2 of which are hidden, 6 access points. So I want this one called Charlotte's Web. We go select SSID 0 for Charlotte's Web. Save. Selected access point Charlotte's Web. And now I want to go attack Deauther. 26 out of 25 Deauthers, and you should see my computer starting to no longer ping Google. I don't know what's going on there. We're getting some really slow pings. It should drop out any second now. some really, really slow pings. Timed out. Timed out. We're no longer connected. And now my computer will keep trying to connect and then keep getting a deauth packet from... I don't know why it's running that slow. So stop the attack, or hit stop. Stopping attacking. Done. And look at that. Straight away, our internet's working again. Now this is not by any means a jammer or any means of blocking. It de-authenticates clients. It uses the vulnerability where the router can send a deauth packet to an unauthorized client or to a client that's transmitting invalid data, and we're replicating that deauthentication packet. You can also select stations. So if we do a scan for stations, and if we know the MAC address of a certain client that we're attacking, let's say you've got like 3 clients connected to a wireless access point, and you select one at a time and work out which one loses connection. So we go show stations, scroll up, we can see, oh, there's 10 different things connected to my Wi-Fi apparently. Wow, that's actually a lot. You can select a certain one and attack it. Now this attack doesn't always work either, but it's more likely to work if you select a client rather than just de-authenticate everyone like I did before. You should only do this on your own network. Now, the other thing is, this is also showing a access point of its own. It will be showing the configuration access point. What we can do is we can get our settings, and this will list saying, oh no, this one's not because I've already disabled it, but web interface, if that's set to true, this will broadcast an access point. And if you want to be discreet and hide things and not be obviously shown that someone's attacking, you can cover that up. Of course, if someone's running Wireshark or various other tools, they're gonna get notified that someone's attacking. So here we've got one that says remove AP. If we click on that, and then you notice it says set web interface false, hit save, it sets that to false. And now if we go to settings, save, that is now saved. So every time this boots up, you don't have the configuration access point anymore. There's no need, if you're using the flipper to control everything, there's no need for that interface there, and it just helps to keep you a bit more hidden from your attacks. Now, here's the disclaimer part. Do not do this on stuff you do not have permission to do. I'm doing this on my own network, or I will do this on networks that I have permission to do this to. Do not do this on something you do not have permission. Do not do this at your school. Do not do this at your business unless you have written confirmation to say that you are allowed to do these sort of tests. Yeah. Thanks. Well, that's it. Hope everything is pretty clear and you are able to understand. I'm sorry about my daughter. She's being noisy in the background. I gave her yogurt to shut her up. Now she's playing with the spoon. 73s. enjoy and happy playing.